So I just got back from spending about 2 weeks in Japan working on this project. I was the director of photography, and it was directed by my good buddy Ethan Edmonds. I'll link both of our Instagrams down below. But anyway, typically I would wait for a project to be completely finished and released before making any sort of Instagram post or breakdown on it. But this time around, Ethan and I kind of wanted to do it a little bit differently, and I'm just going to share some of our process while making this short documentary. So typically when I'm starting a new project, I like to spend a bit of time just kind of picking the director's brain or the client's brain. It kind of helps get on the same page, at least just visually. Part of that process that I really enjoy is finding a bunch of references that speak to the director or to the client. In this case, Ethan was directing, like I said, and so he had a bunch of films and TV shows and short documentaries and images that were very abstract, that kind of had a traditional Japanese or traditional European cinema feel. I really knew just from what he was telling me and showing me that I definitely wanted to be a part of making this project come to life for him. To be honest, it was a bit more abstract and contemplative than anything else that I've ever worked on. I truly really enjoyed what we shot. Keep in mind, I'm also trying to be kind of cryptic about what I'm saying because the film won't be out for a little while, so I'm trying to just give a high-level overview of some of our process without spoiling anything. Something else that I really enjoy doing when working on a new project is figuring out what I like to call our sandbox. When I say sandbox, what I mean by that is I'm trying to figure out what are our parameters that kind of keep us in the right direction. It's kind of like when you're a little kid and your mom takes you to the park and she lets you play in the sandbox, and the sandbox is not quite as big as the entire park. It kind of keeps you safe. It's something that's a little bit more manageable than just running free, running wild in the park, doing whatever you want to do. And so I know it's kind of a dumb analogy, but it's basically just setting up parameters to keep you in check and to keep you on target. So for example, on this film, a lot of the references that Ethan was sending me were very slow-paced, contemplative. They were shot in a 4:3 aspect ratio. A lot of the shots were 99% locked off. There wasn't a whole lot of movement. The characters were moving within the frame, and so then that was where the action was coming from. It wasn't a ton of handheld, crazy camera work or anything like that. Through that pre-production process and conversations with Ethan, we kind of defined our shooting style and what direction we wanted to go with our storytelling. I think a lot of times too, as a DP, what I'm learning is that it's kind of your job to help the director explain what they're thinking subconsciously. For example, on this project, like I said, a lot of the references had that very slow, locked off 4:3 look, but having a clarifying conversation to make sure that you're on the same page is always a great idea, because your director or client could be showing you those references for a totally different reason. They could be looking at those references through a completely different lens than you are. Like I said, I don't have a script in front of me, so I'm just kind of rambling here. But another thing that helped us be a bit more intentional while shooting this project was shooting on a larger camera. To be honest, in the past, I've only shot documentary projects on an FX6 or an FX3 or even a Komodo. And so all of those cameras are a bit more lightweight. You can get away with run and gun. You almost have the ability to overshoot and then figure it out in post. And I know that it's not all about camera gear, but I think having a larger camera system on this one with only prime lenses made us really slow down. So we really had to think through what we wanted to shoot before we shot it. We were also in Japan in the middle of summer, so it was very hot out, very humid. A lot of the places that we were shooting at also had a little bit of a drive and walk, and so carrying a huge camera rig up the side of a mountain is not what you want to be doing with a small crew. And yeah, overall it was just a great experience. Ethan is a very, very talented director. I'm honored to have gotten to shoot this for him, and I'm super stoked to see how he edits it. Real quick before I go too, I'm not sponsored to say any of this, I'm not being paid. I just genuinely love the art of documentary. If you haven't heard of it, it's an online documentary academy. Earlier this year I got to travel with them, and I just am super thankful for them. They've made a huge impact on my career and my growth, and I've just met a lot of really great people through their community, and they only open up their doors a couple times a year, and I believe their doors are open for just a few more days, so I'm going to link them down below. I'd highly recommend checking it out. Again, not affiliated, not getting paid to say it. They're not sponsoring this video. They didn't ask me to say this. I'm just genuinely super thankful for them, and they teach really great stuff. So anyways, that is a super high level overview of shooting this documentary in Japan. It honestly doesn't even scratch the surface. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. Ethan and I are going to make a longer form breakdown when the film is actually out, but that'll be at least a few months. So again, very stoked on what we made, and I'm excited to share it with all of you guys. All right, see ya.